Hi, my name is Portell. I'm an associate professor of medicine at University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm the study chair for the PrE0405 study, which is a study of Bendamustine, Rituximab, and Venetoclax in mantle cell lymphoma. The PrECog0405 study is a trial for upfront treatment of patients with mantle cell lymphoma. Patients over the age of 60 are eligible, and it is the first to combine Venetoclax with Bendamustine and Rituximab. The intention of the study is to see if Venetoclax can improve the response rate of the chemotherapy, which is the Bendamustine. Venetoclax tends to be a chemotherapy sensitizer, and by adding it to the standard chemotherapy and immunotherapy backbone, then the hope is that the response rates will improve, and maybe we will capture some of those patients that we know have some resistance to chemotherapy, such as patients with P53 mutations or more complex carrier types that are sometimes more difficult to treat with chemotherapy alone. Previously, we have worked with Venetoclax in mantle cell lymphoma and have seen it to be a very active agent in this disease. The Bendamustine and Rituximab is a very standard treatment options, and patients do well, though some patients can do better. And we think that this combination would be helpful. It's a fairly easy study to conduct. The first month of treatment does require regular visits, but then afterwards, the Venetoclax is only being used during the first 10 days of each chemotherapy cycle. And our hope is that it improves the response rates. So the treatment regimen is to use the standard Bendamustine Rituximab, which occurs over 2 days. We add the Venetoclax with the first cycle, starting at a very low dose due to the risk of tumor lysis with Venetoclax in mantle cell lymphoma. We do have to check for tumor lysis during the first cycle, because while we start at a low dose, we ramp up each week to a dose that gets to the standard dose in mantle cell lymphoma of Venetoclax, which would be 400 milligrams. And that happens by the first day of the second cycle. So the first cycle takes 4 weeks, and each week there's a ramp up to the point where you get to the 400 milligrams at the time of cycle 2. During that time, we only use the Venetoclax for 10 days subsequently. The study endpoints are to evaluate the complete remission rate of mantle cell lymphoma at the end of the 6 months of chemotherapy and Venetoclax. We also have some secondary endpoints, which include minimal residual disease testing by next generation sequencing, and we have some laboratory correlates that we plan to do looking for other resistance mechanisms to Venetoclax and chemotherapy altogether. After the 6 months of therapy, patients are still monitored, although study treatment isn't required at that time frame, though maintenance therapy is allowed if the physician and the patient feel that that's appropriate for them. Patients are eligible for the study if they are over the age of 60 and need treatment for mantle cell lymphoma. In general, we do ask for patients to have tissue from pathology banks available, and patients must also have measurable disease, which includes both lymph node and spleen measurements, as well as adequate organ function to go on the tests, such as kidney function, liver function, and bone marrow reserves. Our short-term hope is that the Bendamustine Rituximab and the Venetoclax will improve the response rates for patients with mantle cell lymphoma who are not eligible for stem cell transplant, which we often do for patients who are younger. Our hope is that it continues to show a response and a progression-free survival or time off of treatment, and patients remain without disease even though they're not being treated for mantle cell lymphoma. Overall, long-term, this study will need to be tested against other standard regimens, such as Bendamustine Rituximab alone, or other studies that are currently fully enrolled yet haven't had a readout yet. So the PrECog0405 study in mantle cell lymphoma, treating with Bendamustine, Rituximab, and Venetoclax is currently open at multiple sites throughout the United States. If you have interest in referring a patient or have interest in the study itself, please contact the PrECog team at the information listed on the screen.